I know the feeling when you're scrolling through dozens of ranges, wondering if the one you pick will actually live up to the hype or just sit there as a pricey countertop ornament. The decision feels even heavier when you're trying to juggle a gas cooktop you love with the even heat distribution of an electric oven. That's why I'm going to walk through the ZLINE 30-inch classic dual-fuel range, looking at the moments it shines and the spots where it might leave you wishing you'd gone another way. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question most people ask is whether a dual-fuel setup is worth the extra cost and space. The ZLINE pairs a 4-burner gas cooktop with an electric convection oven, promising the best of both worlds. In practice, that means you get the instant flame response for sautéing, searing, or wok work, while the oven uses consistent electric heat for baked goods, roasts, and slow-cooked dishes. For anyone who already leans on a gas stove for day-to-day cooking, the addition of an electric oven can feel like a game-changer, especially if you've been frustrated by the hot spots you sometimes get in a pure gas oven. If you're a casual cook who mainly boils pasta and reheats leftovers, you might not notice the difference. But I've seen home chefs who bake bread, croissants, or pizza say the convection fan makes a noticeable improvement in crust color and crumb texture. The ZLINE's oven preheats faster than many standard models, shaving off a few minutes that add up over the week. That's not just a convenience, it's the kind of time saving that lets you pop a loaf in the oven while the kids are still at school and have it ready by dinner. The cooktop itself is where the classic branding really shows. Those 4 Italian-made burners come with Auto-Reignition, so if the flame goes out, the system lights it again automatically. In a busy kitchen, that safety feature isn't just a nice to have, it's a real peace of mind. I tried the high-output burner for a quick stir-fry, and the flame snapped to full power the instant I turned the knob. No lag, no hunting. The dual-function burner, which can act as a regular burner or a griddle, is handy for breakfast foods. I used it to melt butter and then crack 2 eggs without having to move a pan, and the heat stayed even across the whole surface. One of the quieter aspects that often gets lost in the conversation is the range's operation noise. The convection fan is surprisingly subdued. While a typical electric oven can hum loudly enough to be noticeable in an open-plan living area, the ZLINE's fan runs at a low pitch that most people barely register. If you have a small apartment or an open kitchen, that ultra-quiet operation can keep the ambience calm while you're cooking. Now, let's talk about the practical downsides that people often overlook until the box is opened. The first is the footprint. At 30 inches wide, the range needs a dedicated space, and the dual-fuel design adds weight that can be tricky to maneuver during installation. If you're renting or you have a tight cabinet layout, you'll need to measure twice and perhaps enlist a professional to make sure the venting for both gas and electric is correctly set up. Another consideration is the learning curve. Switching between gas and electric modes requires you to remember which controls affect which side, and the control panel isn't the most intuitive for someone new to dual fuel. It takes a few meals to get the rhythm of adjusting oven temperature while the burner is on high, but once you're accustomed, it becomes second nature. The oven's capacity 4.2 cubic feet sits in the middle of the range market. It's large enough for a standard turkey or 2-sheet pans, but if you regularly host large gatherings and need to bake multiple dishes side by side, you might feel cramped. The landscape oven window is a sleek, low-profile glass panel that lets you peek without opening the door, which helps retain heat. However, the window is narrower than the traditional round door on many older ranges, so the view is limited. You won't be able to see a whole pizza in one glance, but you can still monitor browning without pulling the door. From a value perspective, the ZLINE sits at a price point that many consider a premium investment. The 4.5-star rating from 24 verified buyers suggests that most owners are satisfied, but that sample size isn't huge, so you're still relying on the specifications and the brand's reputation for professional-grade equipment. If you already have a high-end gas cooktop and you're looking for an upgrade that adds a convection oven without replacing the entire unit, the dual-fuel approach can be more cost-effective than buying a completely separate wall oven. On the flip side, if you're building a kitchen from scratch and already plan on a single-fuel layout, You might find a dedicated gas range or electric range that offers more specialized features for a lower price.